So we modify all of our routers. Here's how and why. So when you first get your palm router, it's going to look a lot like this. And this works really good if you're doing edging on boards or benches or something like that. But for sign carving, it's not all that good. We get questions on our videos and even when we're out doing demos about the hole in the back of the router. So we do that for several reasons. Reason number one is that it lets a lot more natural light in. All routers come with little LED lights and stuff, but they don't work all that great. Now, you can see on our routers that we actually have a light modification too. We did a full video on that and I'll leave a link for that in the description. But when you cut that hole out of the back, it lets a lot more light in and makes it much easier to see. The second reason we do it is to give the sawdust somewhere else to go other than just back in our face. If the back is completely enclosed and if you're using dust extraction, it works great to get all the sawdust, but you can't see your router bit. So for sign carving, it's not very good. We don't use dust extraction for any of our routers when we're sign carving. Having that back open up really gives a lot of the sawdust somewhere else to go than just blowing right back in your face. The third reason is kind of not really for everybody, because we film carving. So if that back was enclosed, it would be a really, really boring video. The other mod we do to our routers is we put our base plates on them. Now this is our base plate we sell on the website makeawoodsign.com, and we've got them for just about every router out there. It's my dad and grandpa's design, and they're designed specifically for sign carving. It allows you to have much more contact with the board, with the bench, and gives you a lot more control over your router when you're carving.
Before we get into the how, just so you guys know, we can do it for you. A lot of people are really intimidated by this and it kind of scares them a little bit. We can do it for you. You can just ship them to us. We just charge a flat amount plus shipping and we'll do it on our setup for you. The other thing is, if you do it yourself or even if we do it, it probably voids the warranty, at least on the housing. So if you decide to have us modify it for you, that flat fee doesn't include the base plate. That's just to cut the hole and get it all nice and smooth, and then we'll ship it back to you. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to remove your base plate. Whether you've got ours on there or you've got the original base plate, got to get that thing off there before you start drilling your holes and cutting your metal. Before I forget and go too far, let's talk about safety a little bit. Now I know somebody's going to give me grief about wearing gloves using a drill. I wear gloves for a lot of different things I do, but this one I absolutely wear gloves for because I've dug too much metal out of my hands. Also, eye protection. Definitely wear a face shield or safety glasses. You do not want to get this metal in your eye. All right, so now getting into the meat of the details on how you do this. Make sure that you clamp this thing down in place. That's the housing. You've got to clamp it down. Don't just try and hold on to it. You have to have it clamped down nice and solid. We use a vise, but you can do it with clamps as well. So we use a 2-inch metal cutting hole saw. We make sure that we keep that thing lubricated with some 3-in-1 oil. You can use a hand drill, but again, like I mentioned before, make sure you've got that thing clamped down in place because you don't want that thing moving around on you. This stuff is just soft aluminum, or what my dad used to call pop metal, but basically it's super soft stuff, so it's not that big a deal. The other thing that you want to do if you're using a drill press or a hand drill, make sure and slow the speed down. You don't want it going super fast like you're cutting wood. This is cutting metal, so you need to slow that down. Another question I get all the time is, Eric, I've got a rubber coating on the outside of my housing. The thing about that, it really makes no difference at all. That hole saw will go right through that rubber coating like it's not even there. So don't let that worry you at all. So when you're getting ready to cut this hole, is you want to make sure that you've got enough meat up above the edge of the hole that you're not messing with the integrity and strength of the housing itself. That's the first thing. Second thing is, make sure that you line it up and you make your straight cuts to the point where you know you're not going to lose any of your screw mounting holes when you go to mount your base plate on. So when you start cutting, one thing you want to keep in mind is take your time. You don't have to be in a rush. take your time and just work your way down through there. Pull it up once in a while, put a little drop of oil in the cut so that thing stays nice and lubricated. And if you just take your time and work your way down through there, you won't have a problem. So after I've got the hole cut, now I just want to make straight cuts down through the bottom of the housing. Now, for years and years, Dad and I did it with a hacksaw, and you can absolutely do it with a hacksaw. Just takes a little bit longer. Since we have the bandsaw set up, now I just do it with the bandsaw, and it is lickety-split. It goes right through that stuff. So again, guys, make sure that your straight cuts, they don't have to be right even with the outside of the hole. Make sure that they don't interfere with any of your mounting screws so you've got total strength when you go to mount your base plate on. You don't want to eliminate any of those mounting holes. So once you've got all your metal cut, now you just want to take your Dremel, and you could do it with a hand file as well. I like a Dremel, and I just want to take off every sharp edge off there to make sure that you don't, as you're carving, as you're picking up your router and moving it around, that you don't get, metal splinters in your hand. Now that you've got all your metal work done, now it's just time to put the base plate back on. So if you want to use your original, just put it right back on there. All your holes are there. If you use our base plate and you buy the one for your router, it should mount up perfectly with your original screws. If you order one of our blank base plates, because we don't have a pre-drilled one for your router, there'll be a QR code on the bottom of the base plate that takes you to a video to show you exactly how to drill your own mounting holes. Super easy to do. It'd take about 5 minutes.
So guys, the router modification is really easy, and it makes a huge difference in letting in light, letting the sawdust go somewhere else other than right back at you, and we do it to all of our routers. The only one we don't do it to is the rigid palm router, because that's the only router that comes with a hole in the back already. Hopefully this was helpful to you. If you want one of our base plates or any of our other products, go check out makeawoodsign.com, and if you have any questions, you can shoot me an email, ryan@makeawoodsign.com. All right, guys, we'll see you on the next one. Bye.